Hi, I'm Dr. Katie Woodley, the natural pet doctor. In this short video clip, you're going to find ways to help prevent allergies and treat them in your dogs and your cats with natural remedies. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.
So what exactly is atopy? So an allergy is an exaggerated and an inappropriate response of the immune system. So typically an airborne allergen is inhaled, and through a cascade of events in the body, the pet gets itchy. So the inflammation goes out to the skin. Like hay fever, it's like hay fever in people, but usually itchy skin versus sneezing and sniffling like we see in people. They can get runny eyes and what we call conjunctivitis. So that's where the conjunctiva gets all inflamed. They can get gunkiness, things like that, which we can too with hay fever. So airborne pollens, molds, dust particles, they can also gain entry to the skin through a defective skin barrier, or as we just mentioned, they can be inhaled and then they're presented to the immune system. Inflammatory cells migrate back to the skin, and then that's when the itching and scratching begins because of the histamine and other chemicals that are released through that over-exaggerated immune response. So this is what leads to those skin infections and ear infections because of the inflammation. And then what the pet is doing is they're trying to alleviate it. So they keep scratching, they keep licking. So it becomes this vicious cycle where they're now creating skin infections. They're trying to alleviate that. So they scratch and lick more. And then there's that underlying problem and that the root cause, which we're going to talk about soon. So what are some of the signs that you might see in your dogs or even your cats? Typically, we're going to see a young age of onset. So this can be anywhere from a couple of months to 9 months of age, but typically 6 to 2 years is when we see the onset of environmental allergies. They usually have a good response to steroids. So if they are put on a steroid, which hopefully there's other medications and then some of the things we're going to talk about hopefully will be used instead, but they respond to steroids because steroids reduce that inflammatory response and they suppress the immune system. You're going to see chronic or recurring yeast infections in the skin and ears. So those really red swollen paws in between the toes. They can get red and swollen ears. They can get that black discharge in their ears too, where they smell like a sweaty sock. And then typically the front feet are involved. So they're chewing at their feet constantly. So that's something to be aware of, especially for dogs. If they're chewing at their feet all the time, that can be a low grade allergy and they're creating inflammation and there's something going on in the body where they're imbalanced. So pay attention to that if you're seeing your pet do it all the time. The air flaps are typically involved. So that's where we'll see kind of the thickened ears and deep down in those folds, there'll be kind of the gunky discharge. If the ear margins are affected, so if the ear margins get crusty and gross, that can actually be a parasite, so called Sarcoptes. So you do need to take them in and make sure you get them checked out. The lower back area is not normally involved. So that's where if we're seeing them like chewing and trying to scratch right above their hips, fleas hang out there. So if you're in an area with fleas and it's the flea season, you want to be looking for fleas. And it can only take one to make a pet really, really itchy if they're super allergic to their saliva. So definitely keep an eye out for parasites because those can complicate what we're thinking as a seasonal allergy when in reality they have parasites. And typically with environmental allergens, it's going to be seasonal. It's not going to be year round. So food allergies, I call these food sensitivities. When we think about allergies, we're thinking, a very acute response where everything flares up really fast. Food sensitivities can occur over time. These can happen at any stage in your pet's life. Yes, even if they've been fed the same food over and over and over again, they're actually more prone to having a sensitivity because now you've primed their immune system for all of those same chemicals, proteins, grains, whatever is in that food. So we can see sensitivities develop later on in life when they're seniors, maybe 10 years old, 11 years old. They've had years of toxins and other things building up in their body that weaken their immune system. So what do food allergies look like? Guess what? They can look very similar to environmental allergies, which makes it really hard to potentially diagnose. We do tend to see more GI issues like vomiting, loose stool, they might be more gassy, but they can occur alongside environmental. So a lot of times what's happening is these pets have both. So we need to look at, that's where the beauty of integrating a holistic medicine where we're looking at why is this happening? Where did something go wrong in the body and how do we resolve that versus just suppressing it with steroids, Apoquel, things like that, where we're saying, okay, the body is fine. It feels fine. The itchiness is away, but it's actually not. Because now what's happening is we're still exposing your pet to maybe the food that it's sensitive. It's still maybe sensitive to the pollens. And that inflammation is still occurring. The thing that is causing that sensitivity is still there, causing other issues. So we're not fixing the underlying cause. So that's really important to be aware of. The goal is always to fix the underlying immune problem because the immune system is not ramped, so that the immune system is not ramped up, causing inflammation, skin infections, itchiness. There is a core problem. We have to find it and we have to fix it. Otherwise, your pet's going to keep going down this vicious cycle, going into the vet clinic with infections, itchiness. You're going to be spending a lot of money over the life of your pet. And those drugs most likely eventually will lead to other problems down the road, like cancers and possibly autoimmune. There's all sorts of things that can cascade from that. So how do we do this? How do we improve our pet's immune health? We just talked about diet. That's number one. Food, nutrition is the foundation for health. We have to feed our pets' bodies what they need and what's appropriate for them in order for them to heal. We also need to avoid toxins and allergens. We need to vaccinate smartly and avoid unnecessary pharmaceuticals. And then we can use supplements to help optimize that microbiome and immune health alongside an appropriate diet. Hey pet parents, it's Dr. Katie. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, can you do me two simple favors? Number one, share it with someone else. And number two, subscribe to this channel by clicking down below so you can continue to get updates every time I release new videos to help your pet thrive. Also, if you're wondering how your pet can achieve optimal health and listening to our videos made you wonder if this can work for your pet, we have an amazing membership site that can really help your pet thrive naturally by being a part of our incredible community of pet parents like yourself. Maybe you're here because you're tired of not having other options to help your pet live their best life and feel amazing. Or maybe you're here because you feel alone in figuring out how to help your pet holistically. Let's partner together today and take the worry out of caring for your pet so you have many more days to share the joy and love with them. Click the link below to grab a 2-week free trial on our Healthy Paws membership. Look forward to seeing you on the next video. Until then, remember you're not alone in helping your pet thrive naturally and live each day to their fullest potential.